On today's show, and thanks for being with us, Lawrence Gunther will be joining us live from the Ottawa Outdoor and Boat Show, where he's staffing the Bluefish Canada exhibit. He's also going to be providing some seminars while he's there on their outdoor stage. And might you be feeling a little lazy in the kitchen these days? You know, you don't need to spend hours cooking to make something delicious. Mary will be here and tell us how you can do that a little later. For some reason today, I feel caught between outside and inside regarding today's show.
This is Kelly and Company.
Well, I'm hanging out with Nazreen Abdel-Majid, and it is kind of funny, Niz, because so many people hate winter. We've had this crazy winter all over Canada. I can't even just say, well, here. Everybody in Canada knows they've either had more snow than usual, deeper cold, just weird weather moving around this part of North America for sure. And yet we talk about the fun things to do. And I know when I was a kid, it was the way parents said, get out. What? But it's minus, doesn't matter what it is. Go and play for a while, have some fun, but stop making noise inside. Do it outside. It carries further in the cold. I find it's so nice when you have those things, that mix of life, but we're hearing so much promotion these days of the different things to do outside, especially if you're not really a skier or a cross-country skier, just some of the other cool things, and we'll be getting into some of that more in a little while. But when you were a kid, what was outdoors for you, and how much of it?
We used to go outdoors every single day, just play with the snow, and we'd build a mountain and just grab like the sled and just go down the stairs of our front porch.
Oh, yes.
It was so much fun. And, you know, as kids, everything is like a lot more fun. And our parents would get mad at us for staying outdoors too much. And now these kids don't even leave the house. And it's so interesting how, like, you can think about what are their childhoods going to be like? Because we have so many memories of just playing outside. Actually, 2 weeks ago, we went tubing in Kitchener, and it was so much fun. To be fair, though, I'm very sensitive to the cold, okay? My skin it doesn't do well. My joints don't do well in the cold. But just in the moment, it's a lot of fun. The next day, you do feel sore. But just to change it up, do something like that. I mean, take advantage of the snow. I am not a fan of the cold, to be clear. Okay, I prefer the summer, springtime, fall. Winter is my least favorite season, I have to admit.
I've never done tubing. Where'd you go in Kitchener? Is it, what do they call it, Chicopee or something like that? Or is that Kitchener? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Here in London, we have Bowler Mountain, and that's really big. It's within the city limits. You can take like transit to it, tubing and all that kind of thing. And in the summertime, they have the you know, what do you call it? I want to say jet lining. What do you call it? The lining when you go across. Oh, for heaven's sakes.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, zip lining. So they have that. But when I was a kid, I lived at the base of this ski hill. Now, London, Ontario, ladies and gentlemen, now I know you folks out west are, ski hill. And in London, even we'd refer to it as the Bowler Bump because it's off of Bowler Road. But boy, what a multi-purposed fun place. And when I was a kid, we toboggan down that hill. So people might laugh and say, oh, well, you know, what a ski hill. It's so small. But as a toboggan hill, most people never even have the opportunity. We could go at nighttime. They'd put the lights on while they were making the artificial snow. And they'd tell us, you know, go ahead, kids. You guys can use that hill. What a different time. And again, I have to say, so many insurance concerns. Back then, kids, just go use that hill. You know, if something happened to you, they carted you off. Now you have to sign
waivers.
Oh my God, just to step foot on the property because you never know if a tree branch is going to come down due to too much snow on it or something. But I have not gone there in a long time, but I know they've made so many improvements to the place. And for me, I'm not even sure I ever want to really go there much because as a kid, in the spring, summer, winter, it was a playground that I was very privileged and lucky to have. So I think of that with fond memories, doing the tobogganing, coming inside, and there was mom and dad or either or with the hot chocolate. And you, Rummy, and I talked about this because we were thinking of the size of marshmallows that we preferred, the little guys, the bigger ones. And I just loved pounding back cups of hot chocolate, burning my tongue. That was the thing. You'd get all excited and burn your tongue. Oh, man.
Never missed. Never missed. Yeah, smaller marshmallows, of course, with the hot chocolate for me.
Did you do ice rinks? Like, did you guys make ice rinks? We did.
No, we didn't. But I can't go ice skating, man. My ankles don't have that strength. I always fall. And even skiing. I went skiing one time when I was a kid, and I never actually stood up for longer than just a few minutes.
Oh wow,
it was a big
I was
fail.
better skiing as a kid than when I tried to shoot a piece for AMI TV several years back. I was laughing at that, thinking about that last week. But skating, I mean, I did it. I had the same ankles. My ankles are not the greatest, but I just skated on my heels and on my ankles and stuff.
Hold the railing to the side and just walk my way and convince myself that's me ice skating.
Well, we used to love making a rink in behind the house of my parents and the two neighbors, because we were in a townhouse complex, like I said, when we lived at the base of the hill. And my dad and the two other dads next door would make this skating rink. And we had hills because each lawn was slightly higher than the other. So we had a ball, and it was really something. The banks were, of course, all the snow around. But you want to talk in the wintertime, having some things that occupied our time. We're skating out there in the dark with just a little bit of light that each patio had. But we had a nice chunk of property. So I always think, and those are the fond memories that I have, and skating as it started to melt and us not wanting to give it up, and our parents having to say, get off, now you're digging into the lawn. There's no lawn, it's winter. So, but one of the key things you had to do there, and I know we had to watch our staff do it in the middle of the night when they were making the rink at the blind school, keep it cleared off, shoveling snow, and the reality is, who wants to shovel snow when there's a whole range of winter art and culture experiences to be had out there? Amy Amantea is just the person we need to bring us some of those exciting and potential frozen experiences. Amy, welcome back to the show, and tell us a little bit about these people who feel winter, it's driving me crazy. I feel stuck indoors and I'm not able to venture out. What would you suggest we do to keep ourselves, the family, occupied at this time?
Yeah, I mean, you both are right. You're either an indoors person or an outdoors person when it comes to the winter. So you either want to hunker down with a book or an audio book and hot chocolate and a blanket, or you want to go outside and, play in the snow. And then come in and do the hot chocolate thing. So one of the things that I like to do, and I don't get the privilege privilege or curse of snow as many months or as many weeks in a row as you folks do here in Vancouver. But one of the things that I like to do if I feel like I'm stuck indoors is I like to play a couple of homemade games. And you don't have to go buy stuff to do this. They're just like games that come from your imagination, and super simple. So did anybody ever play Scattergories growing up? Have you ever heard about Scattergories or played a game called Scattergories? This is a great game to make homemade, and you can do it with a piece of paper or whatever kind of assistive technology that you like, and you literally just pick your categories, and your categories are going to be the same through the whole game. So you can pick like cities, song titles, movies, girls' names, boys' names, like just pick your categories. And then you have all the letters of the alphabet. And whoever's playing, picks a letter of the alphabet. So let's say you pick the letter A, and now you've got 1 minute to fill out all those categories, and they begin with the letter A. So a movie that begins with the letter A, a girl's name that begins with the letter A, a city that begins with the name the letter A. And if anybody has the same movie, same city, same name, they cancel each other out, so nobody gets a point for that. Right. So if you get a unique one, right? So it's like the more unique your answer is, the more
less likely
better off you are.
Duplicate.
Right. Then you're more eligible to get a point. And then you do that going through the whole alphabet, and whoever has the most points at the end wins. And then you just take turns picking a letter of the alphabet. So like, how simple is that? You can occupy yourself. Yeah. And every time you do it, you can pick a different set of categories, right? Wow. So that's why they call it Scattergories. And my second favorite one is, again, you're picking kind of like themes. So let's think of themes like transportation, flower names. Again, it could be girl names, city names, anything like that. But you have to come up with song lyrics or famous movie lines or book titles or things like that that contain one of those categories. So, for example, if it was modes of transportation and you're doing teams, it would go back and forth. And so Kelly, you and Nazreen are on a team and I'm on a team, and I'm going to say, okay, modes of transportation, leaving on a jet plane. And then you're gonna come up with one, and it's gonna say, you got a fast car. And so we go back and forth until somebody misses, and then the other team gets the point, right? And so it's just about doing your memory and thinking about whatever the category is, and then once that's over, you get a point. Then it's the next category. So the next category might be flowers, and you're like, oh my gosh, flowers, oh my gosh, so a song lyrics has got the name of a flower in it. I can't think of one. Right. So you're playing some indoor games, you're having a good time, you're laughing at each other, and they're accessible. They're not visual.
They're
accessible.
Easy to keep track of too, aren't they?
Yeah. And if you really want to have a good time, you get a bunch of people to write down in a Word document song lyrics or movie titles or book titles or whatever category you want to come up with, and you have your JAWS or your NVDA read them out loud, and then you try and guess like what movie that is, like what movie that famous line comes from, because JAWS cannot
No, it's not going to act it out. It's going to read it as flat as possible.
That's right. If it's a song lyric and you're like, that, I don't know what that is, because it has no tune and no. Yeah, so that's always a fun one.
That sounds like a lot of fun. But my family
totally is.
We're so competitive, so I think it would be hilarious to do these games.
How can they be competitive when you're playing video games standing in front of the screen? They're kind of out, Nazreen.
Yeah, exactly. You can, Kelly, you can picture that.
And if you have a few adult beverages while you're doing it, I mean, the laughs get a little bigger. And not that I'm encouraging that. I'm just saying, if you add a little.
And when I'm bad at a game, I'd encourage you. Why don't you have another drink? Because the worse you get, the better I win. I mean, the more often I win.
Right.
The more fun it is, right? Yeah, no, I agree. Right. That's the idea of it, especially right now. Like, I always think of the family stuff because so many people are inside as a family and stuff like that. Do you have some things that you would suggest people can do, especially if you're really a fan of winter?
Yeah, I didn't know this, but Assiniboine Park in Winnipeg, of course, they have snow. Like, we don't have this stuff in Vancouver. So as a park, they have a whole bunch of stuff. So you could just go back to this park and visit it day after day after day. So one of the things that I think is a beautiful arts and culture experience would be something called Blooms in the Winter. And it's an orchid celebration. So if you're a fan of flowers and orchids, I just want to read you the blurb that they have, because I think the blurb itself is written very, very beautifully. As you enter the Babs Asper Display House, you will walk through a beautiful orchid tunnel. Can you imagine that? In the center, two stunning orchid trees stand as living works of art, allowing visitors to admire the beauty of orchids up close. These orchid trees showcase a variety of colors, shapes, and fragrances. It features 1,200 orchids in this exhibition, with over 15 million years of history and 29,000 species of orchids worldwide. Orchids thrive in diverse environments, from forests to wetlands, to mountains and grasslands. Their survival depends on specific fungi and germination. Their shapes and their colors and their scents have evolved to attract specific pollinators. Their stunning variety in form, color, and fragrance offers a beautiful sensory experience, inviting people to appreciate the richness and diversity of the orchid world. Does that not sound like a lovely thing to do in the winter? Indoors, but at the park? Right?
Yeah. What a write-up. It really makes you, well, as we bring JJ always on here and get description, it's like such a picture it paints. Do orchids, help me out, ladies, do they have a smell? Like much of a smell? I think a little. I don't know if they...
I think a little bit.
Not too perfumey though, are they?
No.
Well, I mean,
maybe
what did
all
they say?
These, though,
15
trees.
1,200. They've got 1,200 different orchids, so I bet you some smell more than others do.
Yeah,
I bet. But
they're
wow,
stunning.
what a picture. Ooh, gosh.
Yeah.
And in the winter to go in and get that, because your nose is just not smelling flowers unless somebody gave you a nice bouquet at Valentine's or something like that, or you particularly enjoy your indoor plants that have that sense. What a way to feel immersed in that, Amy.
Yeah. I can imagine walking through this orchid tunnel. I can just,
Me too.
like, that's where you're going to get the fragrance, right? I can just imagine an
Yeah.
orchid tunnel. So how cool would that be? And then, of course, you know, they have all the other winter stuff outside the park. I mean, if I want to do any of this in the winter in Vancouver, I got to go up a mountain, which means I got to pay for the gondola to get up there first. But this is, you know, if you want to do skating on the duck pond, like you all were talking about skating, you can do outdoor skating on the duck pond. They set up the lights at night so you can skate under the stars. That sounds
Do they
really
have a
fun.
railing that I can hang on to?
You know what I need? I'm the skater with a disability because I have to use the frame, like the walker frame, when I ice skate. So I had to do
That's
that before
perfect.
my disability. I certainly have to do that still, even though it's not related to my disability. The other thing they have, which I think is super cool and brand new to the park, is the community cedar barrel sauna.
Oh.
That is super cool. So imagine like a cedar barrel that you make wine in, but it's so large, it's sitting on its side, but it's so large that you can stand in it. So it's got a door at the top where you would, I mean, if it was sitting like you would make wine in it.
Yeah, if it was laying on its side. Yep.
Yeah, and you walk in it like a door and you sit in it like a sauna, and you can probably fit 8 people in there. And then when you come out into that brisk winter air, that refresh feeling that you get from going from the hot to the cold, and being in there with community and just having a good time and meeting, you know, new people, relaxing and unwinding. So that's a whole new experience this year. Then they have something called the cargo bar, which this reminds me of like camping, but in the winter. So you can have a drink, you can sit outside the outdoor campfires, under the stars. It's a pop-up bar, and they transition the space every winter season. So whether you're having a cocktail or a mocktail or a craft beer, you can just gather around the crackling fire and indulge in a warm signature beverage and challenge yourself to a winter game. You know, you can bring your family and your pets and make unforgettable memories. I mean, this is what winter's all about, right? Tobogganing, they've got all sorts of things. So whatever you're up for this winter, this is where you get to go for a day, go for an hour. Many of these things are open till 10 o'clock, like from 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. So you can spend all day there or go for an hour.
I love that at night.
So
Any of these
relaxing.
things because of my vision. The sun in the daytime would just kill me at stuff like that. So, and I just always felt something walking around with my family, that kind of thing. Tobogganing even at night was just a special thing because mostly you did it in the daytime. And like I was talking about the ski hill, we were lucky enough because we had lighting, but most cases you were doing that stuff in the daytime. And I'm sure the park too, I believe one of our community reporters was saying to us how wonderful this is. There's so many in the wintertime, it's buzzing with people cross-country skiing, tobogganing, all that great stuff. But Amy, when you involve yourself in stuff like this, how does it get you feeling so culturally connected? I mean, flowers, the artistry of that, the creativity to come up with, hey, let's turn this cedar barrel on the side. The smells from cedar is just wonderful. How do you connect to the art side of you?
Yeah, so if you're wondering why this is related to arts and culture, first of all, when we talk about the games and the culture and the connection, I think about these things that I experience, and I think about how I can be creative with them afterwards, because everything we do in life is an experience. So this is all cultural stuff that we're talking about. But maybe you think about these experiences and you say to yourself, I kind of want to write a poem about that. Or maybe I could write a song about that. Like there's all sorts of, we talked about this before, there's all sorts of AI technology that's free on the website where you can write yourself some lyrics and it'll generate the musical backing for you. You know, maybe you are dabbling in photography and you want to take yourself some photographs and figure out how to do those. You can even use AI, and literally, friends, you just Google things like image generator or music generator, free image generator, and you can just plug in keywords and it can generate an image for you for free. So maybe you want to put in there like, Amy tobogganing on a hill, and just put in some details about Amy in her fluorescent pink snowsuit generating on a blue crazy carpet. Do you remember crazy carpets? Oh my gosh,
cool.
Crazy carpets
Not
were
as
the
cool.
best.
Not as cool as the flying saucer, Aim. Sorry.
Oh, well, yeah, the flying saucer. But my butt
great.
never stayed on the flying saucer. It kind of, I wore out the butt of my snow pants really fast. But yeah, you can do all sorts of creative things. One of my favorite things to do when I was growing up was taking photos of things and cutting them and making collages out of them. So I would,
nice.
whether I went on holidays. Yeah. So if I went on holidays or had an experience, I would collect like a movie ticket and photos and a playbill or whatever it was from the place I was experiencing and make a collage out of it. And just for fun.
I used to do collages too, and now I do scrapbooks. So a similar idea where I take like a ticket of, going tubing or whatever and attach it to a scrapbook with a picture of us or whatever. It's so nice. And you write and you have stickers on it. It's so much fun to look at afterwards.
And then memories.
And if you wanted to, you could take a photo of that and post it on social media and tell everybody what you're doing, right? Like there's all sorts of things that you can do to be creative. And again, if you are doing these things and then you've got you did them on a Saturday and you got a Sunday at home, or you did them on a Sunday and you got Tuesday and Wednesday at home, then, what else do you got to do with your time than to just explore
Look at
and
the
create.
outdoors when you're inside and be creative. Exactly. The follow-up. If you can't have that fun in the sun, there's still something for everyone during winter in Canada. U.S. versus Canada in hockey. Oh, sorry. We'll never mind that for now. After all, you don't go without finding something that expresses, Amy, artistic creation as you just described. Thank you very much. A great report of stuff, Aim.
Thanks, friends. Find something to do while you are snowed in.
So when you take the gondola, Amy, can you actually get right up the snow? So if there's no snow happening in Vancouver, just that wonderful rain, is it quite a ride up to where you could go skating in snow?
Oh yeah, it's a really beautiful ride up because the snow dusts the treetops. So if you start on the bottom, there's snow, but it's like that kind of dirty, gravelly snow because it's mixing with the dirt at the bottom. But then once you get on the gondola, it starts to become like winter wonderland as you get away from that dirty, muddy snow. And then it turns into like untouched, pristine snow as you go up the mountain into the chalet areas. And then it's just winter wonderland up there. And I think I live at the base of a mountain, and so once you get up there, they do have at my mountain, Grouse Mountain, I believe they have a grizzly bear enclosure and a reindeer enclosure or caribou if you're wanting nice. the Canadian version caribou.
That's amazing.
It's pretty cool.
Thanks, Aim.
No problem, friends. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
You bet. Amy Amantea joining us on the program. We talk to her every couple of Thursdays, our arts and culture critic. Emails, folks, kellyco@ami.ca, and call us at 1-866-509-4545. So Lawrence Gunther is our regular outdoor guy, and for the next 4 days, he'll be exhibiting and talking at the Ottawa Outdoor and Boat Show, sharing news about the new fully accessible Bluefish Exploration Center. He's joining us live on location. Wow. So, buddy, what's going on at the Ottawa Outdoor and Boat Show, and why is Bluefish exhibiting there?
We've been an exhibitor at the boat show, almost 20 years now, Kelly. It's something we love to do. This is the biggest boat event of the year for the Eastern Ontario for sure. Every type of boat's here. I'm sitting in one right now, this 19-foot solid aluminum boat made in British Columbia called a Kingfisher. I love it, man. I love it. It's part of my booth this year. I always have a nice fishing boat in my booth, man. Always.
A Kingfisher's the bird.
Today.
Right, Kingfisher's the bird, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, it's more importantly, it's a boat.
Well, today is, you better be sure. All of a sudden, hey man, where'd my kingfisher go? It flew away. I think that's the greatest example, and it's so funny. We had Amy on, and we were discussing the lack of winter presence, and the question came up: how come all these shows are during the winter? And we were discussing the fact that earlier that, well, because you want to inspire people to dig in their pockets and spend some money, and if it's the summertime and you had a boat show, well, all these potential buyers, all these potential people who need stuff are already on the water, and they won't come to your show. That's kind of the madness behind it, isn't it?
Yeah. Like, if the weather's nice, like this show will take place over 4 days. If we have one really nice sunny day, and the weather pops up like 5 degrees, 10 degrees plus, no one's going to be here, right? Everyone's going to be outside enjoying themselves. Exactly. So, the best thing is a little bit of foul weather, but not too much foul weather to the point where people don't want to venture out of the home. Man, you never know. Like 4 days, if you get 3 decent days of weather for a show, the people will come. Saturday's the big day, of course. People are working during the week, and Saturday and Sunday will be the big family days. Everyone's coming with their families. Thursday and Friday is the individuals. They're coming and they're kicking tires. They're looking, they're knocking on the boats. They're looking around at all the other things. 25% of the exhibitors here this year are all around fishing stuff, right? All these guys and gals that make fishing tackle in their basements, in their garages, they're all here. They all got tables. The big right across from me is Pro Tackle from Belleville. They've got a huge spot. Next to me on the other side is the outdoor presentation stage. So they'll have presentations. We just heard one on turkey hunting. I'll be doing one on the Bluefish Exploration Center and tomorrow. So and the next day. So lots of great things going on, and we've got tons of information to hand out here at the Bluefish Canada booth. We look for the big blue top. We've got the big blue top going on here, so it's easy to find.
So tell us about your exhibit. I mean, obviously you got stuff to hand out, but I think for so many people, they hear us introduce you. But what would be, as people approach you, what is your main goals? To obviously share knowledge, information. What else comes with this?
We're all about sustainable fishing and looking after the environment. So if you want to fish, you have to give back. You can't just go out there and take, bring all the fish home and go, yeah, that was fun. You also got to make sure that it's healthy, right? So what does that look like? What do you need to do if you see something going on there or smell something that's not healthy, that doesn't seem right? You see a fish kill, a weird smell from the water. Who do you report that to? We're giving those tools. We're giving the tools for water sampling, for fish health reporting invasive species, all accessible stuff you can do with your smartphone. So really, making sure that when you go out on the water, when you go out fishing as a boater, as an angler, you have the tools to be a steward of the water, of the environment. Fish live in the water, and they're silent. They're silent. They can't speak for themselves. It's up to us to speak for them.
Let's speak frankly, okay, Nisreen. We're going to speak frankly with Lawrence here. So somebody comes up to the booth. They don't know about this guy. They don't know, what's this bluefish thing here? What is that? They look at this blind guy and say, well, he must be here holding down the fort. Somebody must have went to go get him a hot dog or something like that. He must be just standing here. Lawrence, we know you enough. We've heard you talk so much for years about the outdoors, the conservation, your experiences, just you going out and having fun. What is the toughest sell to people coming up and stopping and wanting to, well, what are you? What do you do? Like you just told us, because we're that audience that's aware. We know who this guy is. He's our outdoor guy. But this is a place where you're exposed to a bunch of people who, quite frankly, and folks, I love you out there, but you're ignorant to what he does. Like you have no reason to know, what does this guy do? What's he standing here taking up space for in his Fisher King boat?
Yeah. So Kelly, I tell you, this is all about show tricks, right? How do you get people to stop? And the hardest thing in a show, when you have an exhibit and you're lined up with all the other booths, and people are walking by, how do you get them to stop? My biggest draw, guide dog, man. I put the guide dog there at the side of my table. People see the dog, they come over, they want to know about the dog. Then I do a little Braille name tags.
Then somebody goes and writes a song, "A Dog in a Boat." It's a country
Maybe.
song.
You know what? It goes together, my friend. Dogs. People coming here, they love dogs, right? So
Yep.
I talked to them about the dog a little bit, and then I talked to them. I give the kids away, some Braille cards with the Braille alphabet on the back, so that I teach them how to do Braille, and I talk to them about what we do right here at the show, right? So,
Amazing.
and then all my neighbors, they love it because I'm getting them to stop. So as people are lining up in front of my booth to talk to me, get a Braille card, whatever, they're looking around at the neighbors' booths, and then they go over and talk to my neighbors, and so now all of a sudden I'm like the #1 best thing on the road, man, because I can get people to stop.
Now you're the guide dog getting attention for everyone else.
Well, it's not
I'm
me,
here, the
it's
blind
the
guy.
dog.
Good.
So smart though.
It is.
Love
And I
that.
don't want to sound like Lawrence. I'm taking anything away. Please do not mistake me.
No.
I 100%.
It's a challenge.
It is, and we've all had to do booths and stand there, and but you need your hook. Everyone there would be the first to tell you, I need my hook. But mostly it's, how do you explain yourself? We used to be asked that all the time when people would say, well, what the heck is AMI? Like a best kept secret. How do you tell people who this is not part of their world, and understanding that, hey, you know what? Low vision, blind people, disabled people, period, enjoy water, enjoy the experience of outdoors.
Yeah, you know what? I tell people, look, I wake up in the morning, I visualize my world, right? I visualize the underwater world using those same skills, and I'm here to talk to you about what's going on down there, because through my fishing rod, through scuba, through my time spent on the water, through talking with other experts, to talking with First Nations people who have a whole bunch of traditional knowledge, I'm accumulating knowledge about this underwater world that's hidden to all of us. It's hidden to all of us. People look at the surface of the water. They have no idea what's going on below the surface. So, it's my role to sort of articulate that and to get people excited about that and interested. And I do that through visualization, through storytelling. You got to, because otherwise, what is it? You got some very fuzzy underwater footage, Jacques Cousteau kind of stuff, and that's not easy to get. And it's so this is the way to do it, man. It's a natural for us. Blind people are natural storytellers, and we need to give voice to nature.
What about attracting interest for sponsorship? I mean, you've got something that's relatively new. I mean, you've always involved yourself in youth out there, but some more specific projects and things like that. This is a good way to fold that in, isn't it?
It is. Look, I'm not your #1 top angler in the world. I'm not the one standing on the podium getting the big trophies. And, I've done a lot of tournaments. I used to do maybe 20 tournaments a year. But I realized, if you're going to be good at that, you just got to focus on that. You can't do anything else but focus on practicing, competing, and then move on to the next lake. And I realized, I don't want to do that. I want to be the conservation guy. I want to be the voice for nature. And my sponsors, they're fine with that. They're good with that. But it also means, I'm not the front and center. This isn't about me. This isn't, Lawrence's persona, big and bold and #1 angler in the world kind of stuff. No. This is about the work of all the volunteers, all the knowledge of all the experts, coming together. We're just here to share it. We're just here to put it together. So people who are interested, we give them the resources, we give them the training, and we give them the experiences, right? With our new Bluefish Exploration Center that we talked about, the Bluefish Explorer, we're launching this spring on the Ottawa River. It'll be on the Ottawa River and St. Lawrence River, taking people out and, giving them that reverse aquarium experience, man. You're going to go out on the water in the boat, and you're going to see all the animals underwater in their habitat, and you're going to hear from all the experts and look down there with sound, with touch, with smell, and get to experience what's going on down there firsthand.
And what are you doing on the stage in a while?
I'm going to talk about the Bluefish Exploration Center. It's 2.5 hours north of Ottawa. It's in the middle of the bush. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's on a beautiful lake. I'm not giving out the address necessarily, but if I don't talk about it, no one will ever know it exists, right? So
Yeah. And you're a natural presenter, man.
Oh,
I think you
know
got
what?
this. You got this.
Anyone like you guys, you guys are natural too, but it doesn't come, you got to practice, right? Anyone can do it. It's all about
Absolutely.
practice. Yeah,
Yeah.
1,000 times. You do it 1,000 times, and you're going to be really good at it. But you got to do it. You just got to, every opportunity you can get to present in front of anybody, you take it and you do it and you learn from it.
That's amazing.
Absolutely.
Nazreen, did you, in your technical producing times, did you ever have, did you have to process the Bluefish radio when it would come in?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah?
It was a lot of fun though.
You didn't make any of them disappear or anything like that and get a call from Lawrence on your, hey,
It was
what happened?
fun. It was fun. Do you remember that, Lawrence?
Oh my goodness, we're over 450 Bluefish radio podcasts out there. It's been going now for 12 years. The Outdoors with Lawrence, Gunther, and Nazreen, we did that for 4 years, and there's 115 of those episodes. And you know what? I just noticed the Outdoor Writers Association of Canada just started promoting all our podcasts, all our outdoor podcasts. They started sharing over their Facebook page. Yeah, just going nuts on it. I'm thinking, what's going on here? Like,
that's wild. Isn't that fantastic? Holy cow, congratulations. That's really cool. And congratulations where you are. Lawrence, tell people how to find you as they come in there, because people in the Ottawa area should go down there, check out, even if it's just to spend a bit of time with you. And of course, the attraction, your puppy.
Yeah. So the EY Center now has an LRT light rail station right beside it. You come in the front doors, you come right into the show area. It's all boats. You do a hard left, you come all the way down to the end, and that's the whole fishing outdoor section where the seminar stage is, the casting pond for kids. Everyone walks away with a prize. Any age can cast on that pond. It's a lot of fun. Everyone gets a prize. Come see me. We got some giveaways for you as well. And we're right beside the seminar stage with the beautiful blue and silver boat next to us, black and silver boat next to us. Sorry, I'm colorblind. And you'll find us. Just ask anybody. Where's Lawrence? Where's Bluefish Canada? We're pretty easy to find.
Absolutely, buddy. Thank you very much. Really good luck. I hope it's a great time. Lots of people lining up to talk to you, especially in benefit of your neighbors there. Lawrence Gunther joining us live from the Ottawa Outdoor and Boat Show. All the best, pal.
Thanks, man.
So Nazreen brought up something earlier, and we were going to talk about it off the top of the show and just got thinking about skating and stuff like that. Nazreen, you say on social media you've been seeing a lot of discussion about people's fear of flying, especially since the plane capsized, came down, hit the ground, bounced up and landed on its roof in Toronto at the airport on Monday. Again, fantastic miracle. People being able to get away from that, either not injured or those who've been injured. I think one have left the hospital. They've paid out $30,000 Delta Airlines to each passenger. That's what they've committed to. And just a wonder when you look at the pictures, the fire that was there that was put out very quickly, people getting out of there, so the crew, everybody doing their job. But yet you see online a lot of people afraid in lieu of what's been going on lately with plane crashes.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people feel like there's something suspicious going on from all these plane crashes going around, like that all around the world. It's pretty terrifying, and the fact that so many people witnessed that plane, that Delta plane, in Toronto, they filmed it flipping while they're in the airport. And imagine just, you're getting ready to get on a flight and you witness that happening. That is terrifying. It's terrifying, and a lot of people
and the
were
footage
saying
is
that,
everywhere, right? Because everything's filmed these days, and there are a lot of people who enjoy watching airplane stuff. So you have the people, what we'd say the storm chaser type people, who are always filming stuff, landings, techniques, things like that going on, and streaming them online.
And there were a few people that filmed themselves getting out of the plane while it was on fire. And the first thing that came up to me, I'm like, if that were to happen to me, I wouldn't think twice. I wouldn't think about, using my phone and just filming all of that.
I couldn't imagine starting my camera.
I'd
be fooling around there, listening to voiceover as they're screaming, get out, get out, get out. What are you doing? It was just terrifying just to see all these plane crashes going, happening all over the world. Listen, it is terrifying watching these videos, but it's not going to stop me from getting on a trip, especially escaping this winter.
This
It's
snow.
interesting. Yeah.
Okay,
we'll go play in the snow, but I'm done now. I'm getting on an airplane.
Exactly. I always said, life is short. Let's get on a plane. But I've seen so many people online saying, okay, you're not going to see me getting on a plane anytime soon. In my head, I'm like, no, it's fine. I'm getting on a plane.
You're ready to go somewhere nice and warm to watch the Fisher Kings.
Exactly.
It's interesting because we hear tell that, of course, flying is still the safest mode. That there are so much more that happens on trains, cars, boats even, and injuries and death than the plane crashes. Obviously, they're so sensationalized because it's tremendous when a plane crashes and multiple deaths occur in so many of the occasions. It is hard for the human mind to grasp it. How do you mean safer? Like 80 people died here, or whatever it might be in some circumstances, or even far more. It is really hard to conceive that, I think, for us as human beings. So I hope people do understand at least the facts of it. Even in this plane situation, they've had 20 occurrences, I think they said, with this plane, not specifically type of plane, and no fatalities. And those incidents could be just rerouted somewhere, so they may not be necessarily a plane crash, but that is a tremendous record because we're seeing the things that should have happened to protect all of us when it comes to that plane. So I kind of, it's very easy to get frightened and get uncomfortable and worry about it. But I think here we see something really cool and really positive. So I just can't say enough about the crew, the passengers helping each other, the things they did, the emergency services, and just how things, really happened. Unfortunately, there's only so much we can control, especially in the northern climate airports, as they said. But wow, really impressive.
Are you one of those? Are you one of those people that pay attention to the safety? No, you mean if I was planning a trip and knew? The only thing I think is when I've heard of, when I've flown down south and I've been on the plane. What's our plane that they actually took away for a while because they were dangerous to plane crash. They're back out there, and I've had a couple of trips on them. Beautiful planes, comfortable planes, and that's my big thing. But I also recognize things happen, mechanical things can happen, and human error, and just weather. So I do try to understand that that's the same as getting on a city bus, a subway, or whatever. Something can happen. So folks, we're looking for members of the disability community to join our AMI research panel. Our research panel guides us with every decision that we make at AMI, including programming, media consumption, and accessibility. Participants are compensated for all long-form studies they participate in. If you would like more information on that or to join the panel, please go to ami.ca/panel. We'd absolutely love to hear from you and include you in the things we do as we research and get out there some of the things that AMI wants to know about so that we can do what's suggested and do the right things. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Kelly & Co. AMI. So some nights cooking feels like a chore. I know for last night that felt like a chore for sure. But dinner doesn't have to be a hassle. Chef Mary Memolady is here to share extra lazy and tasty recipes and helpful tips to make mealtime effortless. Mary, let's talk about effortless comfort meals that come together fast. So how about something like soup, warm, cozy soup?
Oh, absolutely. Soup would be the first thing I would start with, especially now. It's so chilly out, right? With all the snow. And so I wanted to start with maybe a roasted veggie soup, little roasted vegetable soup. This one's great because the soup it saves time. And I call it a weeknight lifesaver because it comes together with just one sheet pan and a blender. 3 simple steps. That's all it is. And then you're done. So the first thing I want you to do, cut and prep your veggies. This is going to be really quick because we're not putting it in a pot and simmering over the stove. You don't have to dice it. You don't have to do a fine dice because all that does, it speeds up the cooking process of the vegetables, right? So for this one, because everything, we're going to toss it into the oven on a sheet pan. You're going to cut the bell peppers, butternut squash, cauliflower, a little onion, cut them into chunks, throw them onto that sheet, and then toss them onto a parchment lined baking sheet. Again, clean up, right? So drizzle with a little bit of olive oil, sprinkle with Italian seasoning. You do not have to do Italian seasoning. Use a seasoning blend that you enjoy. That's what's great about this recipe, is that you can customize it and make it your own. But I do suggest,
any recommendations on that?
You can do.
What do you like?
I like the Italian. That's just my personal preference.
Right.
Sometimes just even a little bit of oregano for me with some thyme does a lot. Those are two of my staples that I use in a lot of my dishes. I love the combination. I love the flavoring of it. It's just not very overpowering, but it gives that little hint of flavoring. There are so many combinations that you can use. Just choose one that suits you. And the reason why I recommend pre-mix seasonings is because, again, it's an extra step of getting 5 different seasonings. You just get the one container, shake it on, and you're done. Toss everything up, a little salt and pepper. And then this is the catch. Lay 4 strips of bacon over top those vegetables. Because the reason we're doing this is we're getting the flavoring from those bacon drippings onto the vegetables so it flavors the soup. But then we're going to use that bacon somewhere else in the dish. Right? We're not going to blend that up. So because the next thing is you're going to roast everything up 400 degree Fahrenheit, 35 to 40 minutes until everything is tender. Last step, we're going to blend it up. So first thing you're going to do, remove the bacon off the top of the vegetables. Right now it's crisp, it's cooked. Set it aside, crumble that up. We're going to top our soup with that. And then everything goes into the blender. What I want you to do, add warm stock. The reason why I want you to warm it up is because this is not going back on the stovetop. Once you've blended, you're done. Yep. Right? So it's just done. So it just goes, warm up some of that stock. You can heat it up in a pot on the stovetop. Or again, we're talking about lazy dinners, lazy meals. Put it in the microwave. Heat it up. Really, it's really convenient, really quick. You're just heating up some stock through. That's it. Put it in the blender, blend everything until it's smooth. Mix in a splash of cream. I love doing this because it just adds a little bit of thickness and a little extra flavoring and another layer to it. And then just pour it into your bowls. Top it with that crispy bacon, get some crusty bread, and just go to town. Honestly, it's so good. I
needed to hear the bacon in there. That to me, voila, definitely. Great. Okay, Mare.
Yeah. Nice. And if you want to keep it vegetarian, don't omit the bacon, use some veggie stock. It's all good. But I highly recommend the bacon.
I love that. What's your go-to lazy dinner?
Go-to lazy dinner, I think, would have to be this next one because it's simple, it's creamy, it's packed with sweet corn, and it's a 3-ingredient corn soup or corn chowder. Honestly, it's 3 ingredients, and honestly, comes together in minutes. It's that easy. Yeah, and I can confidently say you will want to make this on repeat. It's that good. Okay. So if you like, do both of you like corn?
Yeah, I love it.
Yes.
This interests me.
It's so good. So all I'm asking you to do is get 2 cans of corn, drain them, and then in a pot over medium heat, I'm going to add that corn into the pot. And I want you to cook that up for about 8 minutes. Keep on stirring occasionally. The reason we're doing this is because we're trying to dry out as much liquid from those corn kernels as we can. You want to get it a little more drier on the drier side because you don't want to liquefy this soup. You want to keep it nice and creamy. So once you've done that and you dry out as much as that water and that liquid as possible, you're going to blend it. So set it aside, about half a cup of that corn. I want you to put it aside. The rest of it goes into a blender. And then add in 2 cups of whole milk. You don't have to heat this one up because we are going to put this one on the stovetop. So we're blending this up to finish this. In that same pot that you cook the corn, no need to wash it. Add in I want to say 2 tablespoons of butter. Add in that reserved corn, and then you cook that up for about a minute. Because now what we're going to do is we're going to take that corn and we're going to try and just brown it a little bit, just to give a little extra layer of flavoring. I don't know, maybe mimic like a charred corn or something. Pour in that blended soup, add in a pinch of salt, and then cook it for about 2 to 3 minutes. That's it, until it's slightly thickened. So simple, so tasty. You're going to want to go back for seconds.
How much does that salt draw that taste? Like what for you, what is the difference if you don't put it? For just curiosity, is it to draw something out, or just does the salt in there, that little bit of salt.
A little bit of salt. You don't have to. It's optional.
Do you find it makes a difference? Like do you taste it, or does it draw taste out of the corn or something?
A little bit of salt always does draw a little bit more flavoring out of it, out of any dish that you create. So any dish that you make, by adding even a pinch of salt, you get a little more of that flavoring to it. Again, it's adding layers of flavor.
Because I love salt, and I love any new excuses I get for why the heck do you put salt in this?
And absolutely. I mean, and then again, a little goes a long way, so you don't want to overdo it. You can always add salt. You can't remove salt from a dish. So go small amounts.
Okay.
But season everything, guys. Season everything.
Season everything.
Yeah, me too. Now, I try not to do ridiculous, and I have really cut back on salt. So I tell my head, oh yeah, this garlic powder is salt. It works for me.
Yeah.
Just a little, just a tad, a pinch.
Yeah.
A tiny pinch.
A dab will do it.
How about tips? Do we want a little bit of tips to save us that time and effort in the kitchen?
Please.
Okay. Both of you are
okay, Mary. I'm a lazy dinner type of person where I feel like it's always a chore for me. So I always go online and I'm like, okay, easy recipes that minimal effort. Okay, short for the search for the shortest amount of recipes, ingredients, and time. Okay, because in my head I'm like, I don't have the time, even though I have the time, but I don't have the time.
You're not alone. I love cooking.
Yeah.
I do it for a living. So for me, I absolutely love being in the kitchen, but I don't got time to be there for hours. So for me, it's that meal, but you want it flavorful. So the one thing that I want you to remember is when you're choosing recipes or you're choosing meals to work on, or you're putting something together, make it flavorful, because that is what's going to keep you interested and keep you eating the dish. If there's zero flavor to it, but it took you 2 seconds to make, what's the point? Right?
Yeah.
So one thing I want you to think of every time, and you mentioned it, look for easy dinners, easy meals. One pan wonders. Something where you can cook everything in a single pan, a sheet tray, a pot, because it's just so simple. It's quick, it's mess-free, and there's less to do. It's all in one pot. Next, pre-chopped and pre-washed ingredients. Now, I've talked about this quite a bit in many of my segments. I believe that you should have a couple of pre-washed and pre-chopped veggies on hand for just these types of occasions where you don't feel like making anything, right? So it's bagged salads, maybe pre-cut veggies, rotisserie chicken, always a staple on my grocery list, always. And if I don't eat it, I'll freeze it. I'll shred it and freeze it. So this way I'll always have some on hand for these particular days. And speaking of freezer, here are some shortcuts. Cook the rice, but freeze it. Freeze in individual packets so you have single servings ready for you. You don't have to cook it.
I've heard about
Veggies.
this.
Yes.
Yeah, my mom always told me, okay, you can cook the rice and freeze it. And I'm like, really? Does that sound appetizing? But it actually works. Yeah.
But it is. It's especially time, and it saves you from spending money or eating something unhealthy.
Yeah.
And I've been seeing lately all over online something about reducing the glycemic index of the carbohydrate. I don't know if any of that is true. I just know that it's quick, it's easy, and it's accessible. So you always have it available.
Yeah.
Right? To me, and then there's frozen veggies. Frozen veggies, again, they're just as healthy as fresh veggies. If anything, they're flash frozen immediately, whereas we get our fresh veggies shipped. So they kind of lose their nutrients as they're in that shipping process. Proteins, keep them on hand, whether they're cooked or raw. Freeze them. So this way you always have something readily available for you. Then there's what I call the 5-ingredient magic. Stick to simple meals with just a handful of ingredients. Something like maybe a pesto pasta, broccoli pasta, which is made in one pot. You cook the pasta. Towards the end of it, you add in these broccoli, chop up the broccoli florets, just really small, and cook them together the last 5 minutes or so. Drain it, add a little bit of olive oil, a little Parmesan cheese, mix it up, Dinner's done. Maybe sheep pan tacos or sheep pan fajitas. That's another one. Comes together really quickly. And they're literally 5 ingredients, or less,
Amazing.
which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So when you're searching, search 5 or less. And there's
That's
the
what I
no-cook
search
option,
for.
right? 5 or less. 5 ingredients
Well-
or less. And then no cook options. These are wraps. There's that chicken, rotisserie chicken that comes in handy. Sandwiches, maybe some hearty salads. If you've got some cans of beans in your cabinet, in your pantry, use that. Make a salad with that. Again, you have that frozen. So if you make a bean salad, grab a pita, stuff the bean salad in the pita, cook up a steak, you're done. Chop it up, and it's in a pita. So everything's handheld.
Right. Yep.
How about batch
Love
cooking?
that.
Now, batch cooking, of course, we're talking about there's preparation, there's a lot involved. Batch cooking, cook extra, freeze it. This way you have it for those days that you don't feel like cooking.
Sounds so appetizing. Thank you so much, Mary.
Thank you. Happy cooking.
So even on the laziest nights, a delicious dinner is still within reach. Remember to check out our podcast from your platform of choice, of course, and give us a rating and review, please. And
Thanks,
thank you.
Nazreen. We'll talk to you later on the program. Nazreen co-hosting with me on today's show, and on our next program, the Entrepreneur of Impact competition is underway. Aaron Bush, founder of A to Z Travel, an accessible travel company for people with disabilities, is telling us why his company should be recognized. We'll talk to you then. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm waving at you.
Thanks for tuning in to Kelly and Company. Follow us on all social media, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more.